All right, so good afternoon, Mr. Rastovac. Thank you for joining me on I think this is the 27th episode of One to Come Up Now. I've reached out to you almost half a year ago. It's really flown by this time. I can't even believe it, but thank you for finally coming on here. I know you've been busy, so I really appreciate this.
Yeah, thank you for your patience. I know it's been a bit of a run around trying to get it scheduled.
All good. I've been more than happy to wait. All right. So yeah, normally I like to start about people their time in college with you. I figure I go a little bit earlier. So could you talk about your first Bitcoin exchange? I mean, you were really right on the money immediately. I don't know when Bitcoin was started, but I know it couldn't have been much earlier than 2012.
Yeah, it was only a few years old. I think like the main thing was I was like a chronic geek slash nerd in high school. Well, still am, but I was always just like online spaces playing video games all the time. I was not all like a great student, to be completely fair. I was like in AP classes and I was doing the whole like be a good student thing, but I spent most of my time just like playing video games. I was a big like World of Warcraft fan back then. I also spent a lot of time on 4chan, the technology board of 4chan. And back then there was like three types of threads you would see, which was which browser is the best, which operating system the best, and uh something about Bitcoin. And there was always like at least one thread about Bitcoin going on. And I thought those were interesting. I would read into it. I'd be like, what is this weird internet money? And there's like this whole proof of work thing, and it's like algorithmic. Um, and back then it was only Bitcoin, Litecoin, and then there were a few shoot-offs that nobody really knew about, like Feathercoin and stuff like that. And I had in my high school, there were no programming classes. The closest we had was, I don't know if this is like a national thing, I think it is, but like Project Lead the Way, which was an engineering track, 4 years, but you mostly do hardware stuff. It was like an engineering curriculum focused on, first year was like design, second year was mechanics, so like build like a little wooden catapult, like a marble machine. And the last, third year was electronics. And so that was getting closer, but it was still like breadboard and like, um, nothing to do with programming. And so I had no way to learn programming unless I learned on my own. But I was kind of fascinated by it and hanging out around this technology board of like the worst people on the internet. And um, I thought, okay, this Bitcoin stuff's really interesting. And I want to learn Python. And because that seemed like the easiest language to learn. And it was kind of correct. And I set a goal for myself that I wanted to build a Bitcoin exchange. No idea how any of this stuff worked. I didn't know anything about how an exchange is supposed to work. I know that you're supposed to like be able to place orders and you're supposed to fulfill orders. And that was like my starting point. And then I had zero programming experience. So for the next year, I went through the Code Academy, I think, Python course, which is still around, but probably very different and much more gamified now. And I completed that in a couple weeks, and then I just started working on this. And back then, I didn't even know what a function was. Um, so for anybody like out there that's like coding, like I was starting to write the exchange, and I didn't know what a function was, and so I had these like scripts that were like 2,000 lines long.
Mm.
But I really just like went through it and I iterated, and then I had to learn JavaScript and HTML and CSS for the front end. And eventually, like a year and a half later, because it was a bit of an ambitious project, I got to a point where I'd consider closed out. And that was a great sense of achievement for me. It
Yeah.
was probably one of the few side projects I've actually ever finished. Um, but it was a huge landing point, and I never launched it, much to my um, I kick myself for that. But it was a very fun thing to do, and I learned a ton about all the things I wanted to do.
I mean, that's pretty funny how like the worst influences you were saying became the best influences, and they really set you
You
on.
got to hang around the weirdos.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I mean
like
the
the
nerds,
weirdos are going
revenge
to be
of
the
the
ones that
nerds.
know what the future is. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it seems like you were pretty much on top of it. So yeah, so then you went to University of Illinois, if I'm not mistaken there. And it's interesting. At the beginning of our email thread, we were kind of going back and forth about our opinions on getting into a good college and like an Ivy League, and
Yeah.
University of Illinois is very good. And I know you had a very really interesting time there where you led the founders. So could you tell us how you made the most of that opportunity and your take on college, I suppose?
Yeah, and I think it's also important to note that again, like going from not the best student, I had like a 3.5 or something GPA average, which
Yeah.
is pretty good, but not Ivy
Okay.
League standard, and also not U of I computer science standard. And so I didn't actually get into the computer science program at U of I. I was in this college called General Studies. And basically, that's where it's like the purgatory. They put all the students that don't get into their target majors, and you have to transfer out after 2 years. And um, I wanted to go into engineering CS. Illinois also has these other programs of like CS plus X is what they call it. It's like CS plus linguistics or plus astronomy plus math. And those are actually in the liberal arts college for some reason, but they're easier to get into. But I said I wanted to get into the engineering curriculum because I knew I could do it and I'm okay to like, do integrals till like 4 a.m. on like 5 hour energy bottles. Um, and that's exactly what I did. So for 3 semesters, I was a total hermit around my dorm room friends they became my roommates for the whole 4 years. And the first 3 semesters were hell. I hated it. I was so depressed. I was just, like I said, 4 a.m. doing integrals, nothing better than that. But I got into the program, and then that's kind of when the experience really opened up for me. I was a study bug up until my sophomore year, halfway through, and um, my focus was, okay, how do I like make the most of my college experience? Because now I have no friends. I missed the whole chance to like rush a frat, and not that I was like totally my scene anyway, but like maybe the like engineering frats. And then all the like ACM, which is the main like CS social club, like they kind of had their like clique going on. I kind of missed that boat too. But then I saw a poster for this event called 54, and I thought it was a hackathon. And so I signed up and joined, but it was actually like a startup pitch weekend. So it's like instead of building like a side project and then delivering some code at the end, you're doing the same thing before a business plan. So like trying to
Yeah.
make a viable business and pitching it at the end. And it was really fun. It was really great. I remember our project was something to do around like it was like financial education or something. But and we did not win. But I met a lot of very interesting people, and uh, I started hanging around the club. I started going to their meetings, and eventually, I interned uh, at in Cleveland for the summer, and I got a call halfway through that, and the president of the club at that time, um, he called me up. He's like, "Well, do you want to run like our main event, the 54
Wow.
event that you went to, um, next year? Like you seem like you're very like type A, you can like get things done. And don't worry, I can like pair you with someone who was like their operations lead the last year. And we were co-organizers. And that was so stressful, but so fun. And that was really the launch board for everything else because with that, I I became co-president of the club after like very shortly afterwards. And I had a really ambitious goal to meet every single entrepreneur over a coffee chat on campus within 1 semester. And we only knew about like 40 people in the beginning, but then I ended up having like 130 coffee chats that
Wow.
semester. I was like just back to back in
Popular
the
man,
coffee
yeah.
shop. Yeah. And it was fun. I learned a ton. I met so many good people, and we grew the club a ton. We started doing more events. We found ways to increase the budget. Um, and it was, I think like by the time I left, we had 10x the club membership.
Yeah.
And the community felt so much stronger. And I was working with the administration to like figure out how do we actually bring entrepreneurship to U of I? Because it's the college, it's like the top 5 CS school that is known for being great for recruiting from. It's not great for founders because
Maybe
oftentimes
recruiting?
it's well, it's like a lot of unambitious nerds is kind of like the stereotype. It's like you're very smart, but you're never going to start a company. And I really wanted to change that. I think we made some progress, still definitely some work to do, but it was a great time in my life. And then I dropped out, my last semester to just go into startup land.
Really? I didn't know that you dropped out. So did you obtain your degree
Yeah.
or?
Mm-mm. I was actually just at the doctor's office,
Yeah.
and it was asked for my education. I'm like about to hit bachelor's. I'm like, oh well, technically I'm high school.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, do you regret that ever? I suppose not.
No, absolutely not.
That's pretty awesome. So yeah, so also during that time, like at NASA, at Navi, Facebook, you had internships there. So what had stood out about those experiences, and did any of them change your, I guess, your ambitions?
Yeah, I have a couple good stories. I mean, and also I think it's for the audience. I want to paint out that like I had a lot of luck early on, and like luck surface area is the most important thing that you can do for yourself. I self-learned how to code, and so I wanted to like eventually go into tech. I think when I go into college, my goal was to work at Facebook, which eventually I got to, and as an internship, I decided I didn't want to do. But I started off as I was a camp counselor. I volunteered in seventh grade through my freshman year of high school, so like 3 summers.
Yeah.
And I was just like a camp counselor for 3 to 5 year olds, and it was really fun. Nothing to do with tech. And then it was like I became a camp counselor like full time during the summer or part time during the summer after that. But then I was in my senior year of high school, and I saw a bulletin board and it said technology internship, like work with the ID department. I thought, okay, well, maybe this is like a interesting opportunity. And I was kind of low confidence at the time. I was not a very confident, outgoing person in high school. I was definitely very like quiet, shy, anxious. And so I thought, oh, well, there's no way I'm going to get this. Like, there's probably tons of people applying and like people smarter than me. Um, and I show up to the room and I'm the only one there. They're like, you're hired. Um, and it was luck. And so
You
then I
found the
got
right
the
guy.
yeah, and it was a very boring job to be honest. And I did some interesting things. Like they just wanted me to be like an on-call kind of like support person for like computer trouble for the teachers or for like running toner back and forth for the printers. But when they learned that I knew how to code, they're like, oh well, like our gym teachers are using this really crappy database for like managing all the student locks and stuff and lockers. And so I built that over the summer too for them. And so it's just like I really went above and beyond. And it was something I could put on my resume, which was, of course, very empty at the time. Getting started is always the hard part. But then after that, like my sophomore year, I tried so hard to find internships. Um, or sorry, for skipping back, I went to AbbVie also. I applied for a warehouse worker position, and then on my resume I had all my like coding expertise. They're like, well, actually, there's an opening in our lab, um,
Yeah.
and I worked there for 3 summers and over a school year, my sophomore year. Um, so with NASA, it was interesting because I was trying really hard to like not go to back to AbbVie for like a fourth summer. Um, Great place.
Yeah.
Didn't want to do it again.
Must have liked it.
And yeah, it was fun, but
Yeah. I
also
think
our
you're
lab had like no
retired.
windows, so I was like, I need some like vitamin D. Um, but the with NASA, I applied to like so many places. I went to all the career fairs. Nothing. Nobody wants to hire an intern going into their um, junior year. They always want the last one, so it's more likely they accept a return offer. Um, but I remember I like online applied to NASA because they didn't show up at any of the career fairs. And I told a story about how my grandpa worked on Project Keyhole, which was putting cameras in satellites. And it was very like inspiring thing for me with my grandpa. And it was like April, I'm like freaking out, ready to say to tell Abby like I'm coming back for the summer. And I get a call while I'm in one of my lab sessions at um, during the middle of the school day. And I get a text. It's like, hey, this is like Herb from NASA Glenn. Are you still interested in NASA internship? I was just like, it's April. Like, why are they texting me this? Um, and so I was like, yeah, like I'm definitely still interested. And they're like, okay, do you have time for an interview in 30 minutes?
In 30
Um,
minutes?
in 30 minutes. And I'm like in lab, like 30 minutes walk from my house. So I'm like, I told my TA, I'm like, I need to go. And so I run back. I'm like rifling through my
Yeah.
notes, trying to find anything about data science. Um, and I couldn't find anything. The notes were actually at my parents' house. But then I get a phone call and I'm like sweating, I'm like out of breath. He goes, "Well, yeah, I mean, if you want the job, like it's yours."
Really?
I was like,
Slow.
it's like, well, wait, hold up. This is not like an interview. He's like, "Well, you know, yeah, we made a list of six people and we took the top three people. You were number four. One of them reneged on their offer, and so you're up next." I was like, you know what? I will take it. Um, and and that was of course a good badge to put on my resume. And I had a great time too. I met some of the smartest people I ever met at NASA, but Cleveland was not my favorite city.
I'm surprised only
And
six
then
people
yeah.
applied.
Oh no, that was the short list. I'm
Ah,
sure they
yeah.
had hundreds or something.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And NASA seems to be a very, yeah, I definitely got a lot of wows with it. Um, but then Facebook, so again, like the theme there is luck. Um, I online applied, and of course, I had some prior experience, so it definitely helped, and U of I probably helped quite a bit too. But I think it's like I almost didn't get it, but I applied anyway, and I
Yeah.
didn't expect to hear back a response. And so by this time, I felt like I kind of was just like lucky. I had this like weird anxiety, like imposter syndrome, that like whatever I did, or whatever I'd accomplished was just all luck. Like I beat out the other person just because I
For number
like
four.
it was like, yeah, I just couldn't like get past that feeling. And so I knew the Facebook recruiter really well because they had sponsored a couple of our events at Founders quite a bit. They were actually probably our number one sponsor monetarily. And so I knew the recruiter really well. And I would like pass them. A lot of people are actually still working there full time. The the thing is though, because I had this imposter syndrome, I was like, I can't talk to the recruiter. I'm just like, I'm gonna carry forward this imposter syndrome and I'm never gonna get over it. So I said to myself, I'm going to apply online to Facebook, like one of the hardest companies at the time to get an internship with, and I'm just gonna see what
Shoot your
happens. I'm
shot.
gonna try
Yeah.
to get through it. And I applied, get to interviews. I go through the interviews, they fly me out, I do those interviews, and I get the offer. And it was when I got that offer that it just felt like two things. Like one, all the stress evaporated because I've been doing leak code for like months and I was so tired of it. But then the other thing was I just felt so stupid. I'm like, why did I go through this? Like it there is a time when like you need to prove to yourself something, but if you care a lot about your career or you care a lot about something, like it's okay to take whatever advantages are available to you. And that's a really, I think, hard thing to say, especially like in Silicon Valley, where like we like to think about meritocracy quite a bit. But I think I've come around to the fact that meritocracy will get you to a place if you're really, really good. But everyone else is pulling whatever levers they have available, and you should probably also be doing the same. And you can use that to lift up others as well, for the more altruistic lens. But you do have to like take advantage of whatever opportunities, whatever tribes you have available. Like I'm gay, and so a lot of my first friends in the city were gay founders and gay tech people. And I can't deny that being part of that community has helped me in many ways. Um, Maybe not like on the surface, but like I get to know people. And then that snowballs into maybe um, people that I hire or people that hire me or investors and stuff like that. And so I think it's important to take stock of like everybody has some kind of community. You just need to find it.
Yeah. I think that's a very important message. I mean, especially in high school now, everybody's kind of finding who they are. I mean, I'm looking at kids that were
Hmm.
friends in sophomore year and now going into junior year over the summer, they're, not friends or shifting groups and, even
Yeah.
me trying to figure out what do I want to do. But I think that's a very important message as well. All right. So yeah, but that's, I mean, I guess you kind of proved to yourself as well that you weren't an imposter. I hope at least not.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't feel that way. Maybe some days when I like don't have caffeine, I'll feel a bit down, but I
well.
think I'm in a good spot.
That's good. That's all that matters. So I guess I suppose after college, your first I guess job at a company was at Cameo. and that's pretty awesome that you got onto like almost like a unicorn of sorts right off the bat there. So
Yeah,
I
that was
suppose
a crazy time.
yeah, I'm sure that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Cameo. So again, going back to like luck, so I met them first. I spoke at an event called Tiger Launch. It was like one of the bigger entrepreneurship series across the country. Princeton is where it's based out of. Princeton Tigers, I think, is their mascot. And they had regionals, and Chicago Regional was at U Chicago, and they asked me to speak. So I drove up and I spoke. I think I spoke about mental models, which is, I think, intensely valuable, but also puts an audience to sleep. So I stopped talking about that now.
I think I know the
I
talk
just write
that
about
you're
it now.
speaking about. I think I watched that beforehand, but
Really? Oh wow.
you
You
too.
you did your research. Okay, I love it.
Yeah,
Um, and so one of the people there was this guy from Chicago Ventures, one of the VC funds in Chicago called his name was
yeah,
Jackson Jin. And he was, I don't know if he led the deal, but he was part of the Cameo deal for Chicago Ventures when they invested. I knew them quite well, and also his brother worked at Cameo too. And so I met him there, and he was telling me about this weird thing called Cameo. It's like it's a really good company. Like you should like look at it. I was like, okay, like weird. Um, and then I there was a career fair at U of I like the next week, and Cameo was there, and I'd never seen them before. So I went up, I talked to the guy, super chill, like you just knew he was so freaking smart. His name was
yeah,
Sean. And then we had to find a keynote speaker for the inaugural Forge event, which was an event I kicked off for founders in Chicago. There was so much stuff going on. Like I was freaking out about the keynote speaker. We're like a month away. And so I just asked Jackson, like, hey, can you ask um, Steven, CEO of Cameo, if he wants to speak there? And he said yes. And I got to know him pretty well. And it was after that, I was like, I should probably apply. Like there's some kind of message coming from above that um,
yeah.
like
Leading you
these
to
people are
it.
like everywhere in my life. I need to figure this out and pull that thread. And I was already getting kind of tired of U of I. I think I got into a lot of fights with the administration over like how to support entrepreneurs, and I felt like there wasn't really much progress to do there. And I also felt like I wasn't going to gain much by just having another 6 months at university.
Yeah,
And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to intern at Cameo, and then just like see how mad my parents get. So I interned there, and I was like number eight, 8 to 12, I want to say. It was like very, very early. And wild experience. They had a really fun culture. I mean, so LA is like party town, and then Chicago is like drinking town. Because in Chicago, in the summer you drink to have fun, in the winter you drink to stay warm. And so you match both of those cultures together, and that's what Cameo's culture is. Super
pretty
fun.
awesome.
Sales team was like the most high energy, likable people you'd ever met. And the engineers were just like heads down, like they know their stuff. Very like move fast kind of vibes. So I loved it. I was there for about 8 months, and I also went full time after my internship. And I never really like looked back to college after that. Um, the after about 8 months, I would say there were a few things that happened. First off, in 2018, when I was at Facebook, I was a terrible intern because I was partying all the time. I was just going to the city, just like meeting people, going to like conferences, events, house parties, whatever. And I during Pride, I met my soon-to-be co-founder, Nick, and he hit me up about 5 or 6 months into Cameo, and he said, "Hey, um, I'm doing this thing called Atmos in the Bay, and you
Right. Yeah.
should, come try it out, come interview, like come see how it is." And I was really hesitant for a while.
So you were poached.
Um, I was a little bit poached, but also I probably wasn't going to last very long either because um, I think I just saw the company differently. Like I was early data engineer for a bit, then they hired a couple other people, but the I saw a lot of the data, I saw a lot of the trends, I saw like what was working, what didn't. And I also kind of just was thinking about, okay, from first principles, is this like a very sustainable company? Like it could probably be like a huge short success story. Like absolutely, and that's of course what they did. But when I looked at it, I'm like, I don't know much about Hollywood, but I do know that Hollywood is a very like not
Fickle, yeah.
flimsy, yeah, fickle place. And if you don't stratify Hollywood, it's going to stratify itself. And what we did is we put, like oftentimes you'd see on your like For You Cameo homepage, like I don't know, the A-listers, the Taylor Swifts of the world, right next to
Yeah.
the D-listers, the influencers, upstart like streamers, stuff like that. And it was just really dangerous because as soon as like Snoop Dogg wakes up one day and he's like Cameo's lame,
Yeah, they
he's
kind
kind
of
of dead. Like nobody else is gonna be like, no, Snoop Dogg, you're wrong. Like, no, it's like dead in the water. And so I was interested in like maybe we can change this into like more than just personalized video shots from celebrities, and I had a couple ideas that weren't very well formed, but I think the leadership really wanted to go a certain direction. And the thing is, you can't argue with the founders. Um,
yeah.
that was like one of the biggest learnings of like Cameo and also with other experiences. Like the company is the founder, and the founder is the company. Like if you have thoughts on like the company should go a different direction, you give your advice, and like they might take it or they might not, but you can't change that direction. Um, and so I thought, okay, like I've done some good work here. I feel good about it. Um, but I can both be paid more and I could like kind of give it my own shot in the Bay. And I always wanted to move there too. So all those things came together and I joined Atmos in the early days.
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of interesting. When I was researching your career, I was like, how did you get to Atmos? Because that kind of seemed like a little bit of a digression from your technical
Yeah.
sojourn there. So yeah. So now you kind of went you went through Y Combinator. I think you're maybe the second person on the podcast that's been through Y Combinator. So can
Mhm.
you tell us your experience there? And again, you went through the all the entrepreneurship with founders, and you had a little bit of the technical side. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And so by this point, I was like fully technical. I felt very good about my skills and past my imposter syndrome. Um, I, uh, I go out and I interview with Atmos, and it was kind of funny because I didn't realize it was an interview. Like back then, Nick, the CEO, had this, I guess, like struggle with like clarifying things. And so I like flew in. I like thought it was just like vacation, hang out with the bros. But no, they were actually evaluating me. So he pulled me aside like the a day before my flight. He's like, not doing very good at this interview. I'm like, this interview? Um, and so I delayed my flight by like 2 days, and then I just like crunched it out. Um, but I joined the team, and the first night, this is like to set the tone. The first night I get there, and it's just Austin, one of the four soon-to-be co-founders, and he uh, he's just like hanging out in our like garage, which has like an army of 3D printers all around the walls. And he's like, yeah, so Nick and Trent are getting back from Burning Man tonight. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm just chatting with him. And Austin is like one of my best friends now, but we're just chatting, and then this like school bus with the S and the H crossed out, the cool bus comes riding up into our driveway, and Nick and Trent get out, and I'm just like unpacking their like Burning Man bins, and we're like, and they're all like dusty, and they're like, we need to like take off all of our clothes and then like run to the showers as fast as possible so we don't like contaminate the place. And I'm like, what is going on? Um, but that really set the tone because it was the wildest 3.5 years of my life. Um, we were in Oakland because we wanted to isolate and focus on just the company, not be like sucked into the fray of SF, which is very fun. So um, at the time we're working on VR, and we go rapidly through a couple iterations, but like it's hardware plus the software, which if you ever find a company doing hardware plus software, good
That's
luck because that's a
unique.
lot of work.
Yeah, I've heard a
Yeah,
little
pick
bit
one.
about that, but
Yeah, it's just like it's software experience. engineers are expensive and hardware is expensive. Like it's a very, very expensive company. But we made it work for a while, and for 3 months after I joined, I was working on all kinds of weird, like interesting, like VR, AR projects. Um, we we're not making a lot of headway in terms of like making money or raising money. So we decided to pivot into custom home building because Nick um, was very knowledgeable with space because his parents, one of them was a realtor, one of them was a builder.
Okay. Yeah, VR to home building.
Yeah, classic. And like the thing is, I always have to say like real homes because people are like, "Oh yeah, you just like
The
Minecraft." I'm
home
like,
with
"No,
VR,
that's
yeah.
like we were like, and I'm not very handy, but like I'm sure you could
Yeah.
find a picture of me with a hammer somewhere, um, at least a hard hat." And so we started on that, and that's what we got into YC with. I think it was actually like so we'd applied to YC 3 times. I was there for the
Yeah.
last two.
I
The
know
first
people.
one we what
No, I was gonna say I know most people make multiple pitches and get in on
yeah.
the.
Yeah, the and we started all through the processes with the VR idea, and they finally got us to an in-round or in-person interview on the third time, but we had pivoted between the interviews, and so we show up. We're like, different idea, y'all. Houses.
Yeah.
M- Turns out it was much more savvy for them and a lot more investors, and so that was very helpful. And we got into YC. We did YC, um, but COVID happened.
Ah,
And so,
I didn't realize it was
um,
that time.
yeah, this was 20. So I joined in late 2019. So March rolls around, and our batch was the first fully remote batch for YC. And so um, we just go part of the value of YC is like the in-person, both the
Yeah.
camaraderie and also like the people you meet and the things you learn from them. So it felt a little bit quiet, but it still had they did try to do their best with all the virtual events. We went through YC, and then after that, demo day was great. We raised a seed.
Yeah, like 4.75, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that was before YC. Yeah, that was before YC. And then we afterwards we were just off to the races, and we were building homes, selling homes, uh, trying to get lots that were available in
Oh,
any area around the cities we were operating in, because that was really a big bottleneck for us for a while. Um, but yeah, from there it was just like going through the motions. And at some point, I think it was like late, about a year after I moved to SF, so August 2020, we were stir crazy. It was like COVID. We were like working in the house all the time. We are tired of it. And our lease was coming up. So we're like, are we going to stay or are we going to like do something? And I was looking for an apartment with a couple friends in the city. Um, and there was just four of us. We were just like bouncing around a couple places, found some places that were okay. And then there's this agent um, that said, you should tour this house. No pictures, no like anything. It just got renovated. It's a whole building. We're like, okay, sure. And we looked at it, and it was like you said, newly renovated building that was 7 bedrooms, 7 bedrooms, and 6 bedrooms. Apartment complexes stacked on apartment units stacked on top of each other. And I don't know why the agent recommended it to us, but I think he like could suss out that we were like we had a lot of friends. And we kind of just thought about we're like, we could turn this into like a little COVID
that
pod
house.
like founder community. And that's what we did. Um, and
Like the
so
YC dorm room.
yeah, there's a so SF is like an interesting city where it has a bunch of these, right? It's like Mission Control was kind of one of the OG ones, and it's still around. That's where a lot of like early Teal fellows had lived. Um, and then oh my God, there's like 20 of them. I could send you a whole spreadsheet that's
Yeah.
probably very out of date. Um, but we wanted to start our own. We had our own friend group and lots of people looking for places in SF. And so we said, yeah, we're going to take like the top 2 units at least and let you know about the third next week. And the third one got taken, but by a different group. But we had 14
Rival
rooms
group.
and we turned it, yeah, rival group. And they're still there, which is like insane.
Yeah.
Um,
They're hunkered down.
exactly. And so for 4 years, I lived in Atmosphere, which was our like founder hacker house. Uh, and that was in the beginning days, it was like party central.
Pretty
Because
sick.
my pandemic hobby was like mixology, because I was already drinking a lot. I'm like, I might as well make it classy. So I got into making
Yeah.
cocktails, and then we had a DJ
Perfect
and
form.
then
A
multiple
perfect
socialites.
concoction.
It was exactly right. The
Yeah.
recipe was perfect for some mayhem. Um, and then that's really been like the basis of a lot of my like friends throughout the city is like atmosphere. And as the pandemic started to like loosen up, people are going out a little bit more. They were getting into their own offices. And now atmosphere is like much more like build actual build actual companies, not like party house. And uh yeah, I think like now we're a lot more serious about like, you know, people coming in, we have to
Yeah.
like vet for just building a
Common
real company.
interest and I mean, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, you kind of went through it quickly, but I'm trying to still take in the magnitude of you built like a home company because my parents built this house.
Yeah.
So I know the process. I know it took 2 years. I know like finding
Yeah.
the plot of land. And I know a lot of companies, they're like antiquated. They're like our builder, he was,
Yeah.
70 years old. He didn't know how to use an Excel spreadsheet. So I mean, you were really,
Yeah.
really ahead of the
It was
curve.
it was tough.
I
Because
can
we
imagine.
fought like it's one I always describe it as the company that like never should have gotten as far as it did. Um, Builders, like you said, are very anti-tech. Um, the bottlenecks are sometimes out of your control, which could be um
Regulation.
regulations,
Yeah.
zoning. It could be
Permits.
HOAs. It could just be, yeah, permits. It could be the like the land is just simply not there. Like sometimes it's just a bad market and there's no lots available to build on. Um, and then also it's like capital intense, but also we're a tech company. So like it wasn't as expensive as VR. We're not like a hardware company, but also it's like operations are really expensive. And it's also like super long lead time, like going from like start to value for a customer is like 12 to 16 months. That is insane. Like, how do you iterate quickly when like you can only make changes to a 12 to 16 month pipeline? And there's very few customers too. So you
Yeah,
don't
I
get a very
didn't
big
even think
sample
about that.
size.
No.
Yeah. So it's like vibes based founder mode. And there's like a whole bunch of things and like we're all first time founders and there's four of us and it's just like there's so much um
How do you make it
going
work?
on and it should not have worked, but it worked. We sold like I don't know what the latest number is, but like 30 to 50 homes, and we built quite
Wow.
a lot of homes.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was a huge learning um
I
opportunity
imagine.
because like
I feel like
I had never worked in real estate, and a lot of the tech problems in real estate, like um I don't know if you know what the MLS is, but it's like
market
it's
list.
the
No,
multiple listing service. Yeah.
okay. I've heard of
It's,
it.
it's essentially just like the centralized um database for all the lots and properties and things that all the like Zillow, Trulia, they all connect into.
Word.
Um, Working with it is a pain in the ass, and also working with like maps and GIS in general, also a pain in the ass. Um, so like a lot of fun tech problems, and I was on the tech side, I was head of engineering. Um, but also I think the more fun part was just learning like how do you go from like fairly coherent idea of like because homeowners never knew what they wanted. Like if you ask them like what kind of wall do you want or like exterior siding, and we're like, I don't know. So you have to like really like learn how to guide them and like what are
Yeah.
the do's and don'ts. And we made a ton of mistakes, but over time I think like we got a pretty good handle on it. And that was the fun stuff that I always loved working on, which is like how do we eke out efficiency and like automate parts of this?
I know, but it sounded like you were doing 10 homes a year, and I know our builder, he was only doing like three or two a year. So that was a pretty good clip you had.
Yeah. We're also in like a weird spot, which is another one of the reasons why we shouldn't have existed, which is like um builders don't like tech. Um Realtors don't like middlemen because they take a cut.
Yeah.
And We kind of existed in like the worst spot where like I think a lot of our value prop, which is being the punching bag, it's like the builder can like punch us if we're like if the homeowner's giving them crap. The homeowner is punching us because the builder's screwing it up, or oh, I changed my mind at the last minute. Um, and we had architecture in house, so we at least didn't get any punches from architects. But realtors would fight over commission, and it's just like we were like in the middle of the dog pile, and nobody liked us, but we had a very valuable service, and everyone made money as a result. So that was kind of our value prop.
Yep, and that's what everybody likes, I guess, more than anything else. So all right, I guess moving on to Respell, your next venture there. It was kind of, from what I understand, kind of during the time you started, like late 2022. Like agent, it was yeah, I'm correct, right? It was like
Yeah.
agents and LLM prompting. That wasn't a big thing, but you were really again ahead of the curve there. So how'd you know from the start with AI automation from there?
Yeah, it was so my whole background was in the like ML space. Like after my Bitcoin exchange, I went straight into data science, ML. That was kind of like my thing. I loved it. I loved the sci-fi AI depictions. I just thought it was the coolest. And back then, of course, like it was awful. Like you would spend like hours gathering data, like not a lot of data compared to nowadays, and training a model to like classify cats, and it would still screw up like 2%
I
of the
know
time.
that problem.
Um,
Yeah, like a bird on a screen.
yeah, it's like okay, this is like cool, fun play toys, and most of the time it was the real like money where it was at was in recommendation engines and AML, anti-money laundering, and fraud. That's where most ML before LMs was kind of applied. Of course, there was like lots of use cases elsewhere. Like in AbbVie, I worked in the like CRISPR like ML deep learning lab. Um, but another also like we were very close as co-founders of Atmos to Sam Altman. He was a really big mentor towards us. And like we obviously knew that he was like YC chief, but at the time he was still doing, or he was working on OpenAI. And I had actually been a fan of OpenAI since like 2017, 2018, because they used to do reinforcement learning, which was really like one of my like kind of side interests and passions. So um, we got to see a lot of the like pre-release models. GPT-2 was really weird because it had this like it was like continuously learning based on the conversation, and it would also start to like act more like you. So it would kind of like mirror your
Yeah.
personality, but in an uncanny valley type of way. It made people very uncomfortable. Um, and so I could like kind of see the trend, and as like Atmos was becoming more of like a mature business and it was like more operationally intense rather than tech forward, I thought, okay, well, this isn't really my space anymore, and I don't know how much I can help. And also, I'm kind of burnt out, and I want to do something else. And I'm being called by my labor of love, which was machine learning and AI. So it was ChatGPT released, and that was kind of like last call for me. Is like I need to get on this, or I'm gonna always kick myself. Um, at the time, LLM was not even like an agreed upon term, I don't think. People were calling it all kinds of like things to describe what these models are. Um, so it's very early. And I didn't know what kind of idea I wanted to build. I knew I wanted to build an AI company. And so um, basically, right off the bat, I sent out the bat signal. I said, I'm starting a company. I need two engineers and I need investor intros. I sent out to the house, to all my friends, and to all my investors. Um, and I got two engineers within a week. So the best engineers I've ever met. Um, and I was talking to investors, and every one of them's like, Matt, you've been in early stage mode for like 3.5 years. You should probably take a break. And specifically, I remember a call with Sam where he was like, you should probably take a break for like a few months. I was like, so about that, I already have two employees and payroll's on Friday. So I'm like, I'm getting money in the bank, like one way or another. Um, but after like the whole quick startup, I didn't have an idea. And so we're building. what we think is like a very generic company that can kind of pivot to wherever the market like sort of clarifies. And so at the time, a lot of people were building just like these, they were chaining together a lot of models. Like you'd ask the AI to like write a prompt to generate an image, and they would pass that to another model. So it's just like chaining things along. I was like, okay, well, maybe we build a no code like drag and drop editor to do that. And we talked to a lot of people, a lot of users, and people liked it. It looked very pretty because I also focused on design and product. And people were like, "Oh, I want to use this to automate some of my work." I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Okay, like it's like Zapier." And they're like, "Yeah, exactly like Zapier, but like easier to use and like more AI
Good.
focused." And that was basically our positioning for like a whole year. And that first year was great. We were like, zoop, rocket ship growth. Um, and we did a lot of like consumer marketing style, like TikToks and Instagram Reels and stuff like that, like short form content in general. And we went viral a few times. I uh this is my first time in a CEO role, and I was also a solo founder. And so those are going to be important for later. But I was just trying to manage like everything from like hands in the product to like architecture to general engineering to operations, learning how to do all that admin stuff for the first time. And this wonderful hired dev who was like the best ops person I could ask for. She took a ton off my plate. Um, and also doing sales. The one thing I did not do because I was very bad at it was marketing. Um, and we had another great employee named Priya who did that for us. And she was just a whiz at like making the videos, editing them, and like posting them and staying on top of trends. So all these things combined, basically our positioning is workflow automation that's AI first and easy to use. Um, and we're doing really well up into the new years. Oh, also, we were competing with Zapier, but also they were one of our first investors. So that was a fun relationship.
Yeah.
Um,
A little bit of a
so
love-hate frenemy
yeah, I would say like I'm good friends with a lot of
situationship.
Zapier folks. Yeah, Wade and I, Wade's the CEO, would talk about just like trends a lot.
Yeah.
I think like they learned a ton from us as well. Um, the when the um year came over, a few things happened. First off, we launched a bunch of features that really didn't make sense. And I will like totally take the blame for this. They were just like very pie in the sky, like future looking things that were like a little bit too early. So like one of the things was an agent that connects to all your business tools, like your CRM, like HubSpot, to your ATS, like Lever or I don't even Ashby or whatever. And like it would just be like your point of contact for all the different tools you want to do. Um, there were many things wrong with that I could like delve into, but it didn't work. And we also decided to focus less on the prosumer, like smaller mid-market, to go more like upper mid-market and enterprise. And so that kind of changed our marketing from what we were doing well, which was short form content, to cold emails and like just getting in people's
That
inboxes,
sucks.
getting their attention, finding champions. Yeah, less fun, but also sometimes
Yeah.
more profitable. Um, the problem is we're very good at it. And it was a very, like by that time, the market had also heated up where we had many, many competitors. I'd say like we were one of the first on the scene. We were also one of the first to like really dive into like agents with our research agent back in like March of 23. But the market was a lot busier, and there were a lot more like enterprise focused um workflow automation platforms. And so now we had to actually like try for deals. And that was very difficult to retool the entire product, change our marketing, our go-to-market strategy, and then also now compete in a completely different space with different rules and different people. Um, and I think the thing is like we're growing, like we're still booking revenue and making customers happy, but it wasn't exponential or quadratic. It was linear, and that's tough. We started to lose a little bit of momentum, and so um, around like August, I want to say yeah, August of last year, I was also like starting to get a little bit burnt out because again, I had not taken a break,
Yeah.
despite all the encouragement.
Warning signs.
Yeah. And so I could like feel myself like, man, I'm tired. I'm like going through it. And then a couple like personal events happen, family death. And I was just like, okay, I can't do this. I need to like figure out like we have money in the bank, we could keep going. We could also probably raise an A, but like where's that going to put us? It's not going to get us into a better spot for a sustainable company. Um, and so I thought, okay, I need to either exit or shut down, or pivot. I was open to a pivot. So I did the process. Um, there were lots of interested parties that we talked to, some more interested and serious than others. Salesforce was our COO, Connor, had worked for this guy, Adam, for two of his companies that sold back to Salesforce. And his latest company became Agentforce, the Agentforce like division inside of Salesforce. And so, and he ran the product there. So he connects me with Adam and we chat. We're like product design, engineering focused minds. And so we jam on just like what is the future of um, agents and AI and the internet. And he was by far the most interested. So we go through, and I think it was like literally a day before Christmas break is when we signed and called it done.
That's pretty awesome. Like a fourth quarter save right there that they got it in.
Yeah, and it's like if a deal goes over the holidays, like there's a good chance it does not survive. So I was
That's pretty
sweating
good
so hard.
that he got it
Stressful,
in.
stressful. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know, something interesting that you had said earlier, that you were also focused on like user design and interface. Because I don't know, I just saw a like a Y Combinator video that engineers also have to be like product design as well.
Yeah.
And but that was kind of cool that you mentioned that. So yeah, so how do you like your new role here at Salesforce? I hope it's more sustainable. Is it like a
Yeah.
regular 9 to 5? Have you transitioned? Have you
Yeah. And one thing also to note on what you just said is like I think like multidisciplinary is what everybody should aim to be. And it doesn't have to be like you need to be a jack of all trades. Um, like I was an engineer. Like that was all I had basically in college. And I could like speak eloquently and I would go up on stage quite a bit once I got over my like confidence issues. But I think also like especially at Respell, I grew so much in terms of like I knew a little bit of sales, like again from the speaking, but I think it was I learned the process, and I also became much more tightly aligned with product and design, much thanks to my early engineers who were like design and product engineers. And it is very rare to find people who are like really good, even 90th percentile, which is kind of low when you think about it, at like two or three things. And if you are good at two or three things that are complementary, you will never be wanting for a job. Opportunities will find you. Um, Salesforce is it's a change. I haven't worked full time at a big company before. Like Facebook was an internship, and all the other big companies were an internship. So like I am definitely adapting. Um, Lots of moving parts, lots of people, lots of politics. I won't deny. Um, I would say I'm fortunate in that Agent Force as a division is a very like fast-moving startup, break things kind of methodology and culture. And I do like I love my team. I love what we're working on. Um, there are definitely some slower moving parts and a lot of processes. And like
yeah,
I just did my
definitely.
training like many months late. So I had to like kind of learn like how to get through this. But I also reframed my mindset, which is like I know I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not a Salesforce lifer. I'm not a big company lifer. But I'm here to deliver a great product that like really makes changes how people think at Salesforce and also people outside of Salesforce of the company. And also to like recharge for my next run. And so kind of what I'm thinking is like I was so like out of shape and like anorexic almost after Respell. And I was eating like 1,200 calories a day. I was very unhealthy. I was stressed out all the time, barely sleeping. I was probably deficient in like dozens of vitamins.
And
And so I'm like, I'm gonna fix all this. I'm gonna focus on
we get
health. I'm
healthy
gonna focus on
first.
wellness. Yeah, get all my sleep, and then I'm going to um after Salesforce, I'm gonna travel the world because I've never taken a break in my
That's pretty
life.
sick.
Yeah. So I
It's-
planned out like
uh,
a sabbatical.
Yeah.
Yeah, world tour, 6 months, South America, Asia, and Europe.
Okay.
I'm terrified and excited for it. It's gonna
That's
be a
pretty
blast.
awesome. I mean, do you have like anywhere picked out yet, or do you have
Yeah,
your
I use ChatGPT for the itinerary.
really?
It's like,
That's not something you wanted to do yourself? I mean, it
well,
seems pretty
I
dope.
there was a lot of back and forth. Don't worry.
Okay.
But because it's like I don't know. I've only been out of the country twice. Both of them were work related. Once was to
Oh,
Bali. This is my first time, which is a bit of an odd
yeah.
first time
Yeah.
experience, culture shock for sure. And then I went to Cabo for Respell's retreat. That was so nice too. Every time I've gone out of the country, I've loved it. And I just like I want like the typical like I'm okay to be a little bit touristy, but I want like the typical path experience. I'm visiting some interesting places like um Medellin, Buenos Aires, uh Chiang Mai in Thailand for the water festival, and no plans, no um no goals, nothing to gain out of it. I just want to like be somewhere else and wake up and say, it would be nice to have a coffee today.
Yeah.
And start with a coffee. And then I can talk to myself and say, it would be nice if I walked around a little bit. Because I've never done that. I'm like a chronic planner. And part of this is like a rebirthing phase for me where I want to break all of my habits. I'm not going to have a crutch of people surrounding me that I can just go out to a bar with. I'm gonna have to like go out and find friends. Um,
Post. That's gonna be pretty cool. Traveling the world, finding friends, and
yeah. So it's gonna be very I'm hoping it'll
awakening.
be a little bit soul searching and
Yeah,
awakening. Exactly.
illuminating. I
Illuminating.
mean, that's pretty
Exactly.
awesome. Well, so I suppose I've got you here for an hour here. I think this will be the longest podcast, but I've definitely been honored that it's been with you. And I guess yeah, that's I don't I know you're busy, or well, maybe not now, but I suppose I guess I have to have a last question, and that's some time. So yeah, and normally I like to end it with what do you think the future's like for you? I know we just talked about the vacation, about your career at Salesforce. But yeah,
Yeah. I'm it gets me into trouble a lot, but I'm relentlessly optimistic.
yeah,
I'll have like my down periods where I'm like kind of stuck in a rut. But I really like to just like look forward and be excited. And the things I think I'm excited for, obviously sabbatical, but also just like whatever I do next, I feel so much more prepared than I was for Respell. Like at Atmos, I was a co-founder, yes, but the CEO role is a very different job. It's a very, very hard job, especially if you're solo. And so it was like I was a second time founder at Respell, but I also felt like it was a first time founder experience. And I'm going to be going to this new company. I'm going to know my shit a lot more comprehensively, and I feel
pretty
far
good
more
feeling.
prepared. Yeah, it's a good feeling, and it's probably going to be somewhere in the AI space. Don't hold me to it, but most likely because I do love it. Um, but I think also working at Salesforce has made me realize I love the journey a lot more than I thought. When you've only had like the same like job or experience, like for me, it was early stage startups for a while. You might think the grass is greener, like, oh, I get paid more at big companies, or like they have benefits, or like they get like more license to take time off. You have your weekends back. But I just like I spend my weekends building stuff. I am working on side projects or reading. I I am easily obsessed and I think about ideas for startups all the time and have to like actively tell myself no right now. And so I just realized like I'm also excited for the day to day because it's great. It's long hours and you're sometimes not sleeping well and diet's hard. But I'm also just like, it was fun. And I get to work with great people who are smart and we ship things so fast. Like, man, at Salesforce, one of the gripes is it takes like 3 months to ship something I would do in 3 days at a startup. And it's like, and there's a lot of reason for that. And also like they're going to make a lot more money with it right away. But um, like I love the velocity. I love the early stage vibes because of that. So I'm very excited to get back into that. Hopefully as a more holistic person. Now I've traveled. I also am reading like every religious book, like the primary text or as close to as I can get. So I have like 52 books right there, like
Yeah, I see.
Bible, Dhammapada, yeah, the whole
That's an
all those
impressive library
stacks.
there.
Yeah, so like going through the religious primary sources and just like trying to have a more well-rounded life. But then go very deep into something I care about.
Wow. That's a very cool I don't know the correct word. I'm not a poet myself, but it sounds I don't know, for lack of a better word, powerful, I suppose, future that you have had. Well, and I'm excited now that I've gotten you at this time, kind of at this bridge into that way, and that I've gotten to discuss with you now. So
Yeah,
thanks for
absolutely.
joining me tonight.
Yeah, I mean it's I learn things whenever I talk about my life and I remember things too. So I always love doing a little bit of rehashing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Danny. And have a good night.
See you later.